Welcome everybody and good afternoon. And I am Antonella Baldi. I have the pleasure of chairing today's webinar on circular economy, challenges and opportunities in evolving European landscape. It is a webinar organized by the For You Plus Alliance of European Universities with a participant from the University of Milan and from the Municipality of Warsaw, Milan, and Fondazione Cariplo that are our partners of alliances. Just to introduce briefly the focus, the topic of this webinar, we have to underline that today is 18th of March and is not chosen by chance, but it was chosen for this webinar because it is the Global Recycling Day 2026, a day for the world to come together and put the planet first. And in this occasion, we have decided to organize this webinar because, of course, you know that by 2050, the world is expected to consume resources as if there were 3 planets instead of 1. And in this scenario, the traditional linear economy model of take, make, and waste is no more sustainable. This webinar will explore how this transition towards a more sustainable model in transforming industrial sectors will have an impact, and according to the position of European positions such as the Insular Circular Economy Act, the Clean Industry Act, and the European Green Deal. In a circular economy, products and materials are kept in circulation for as long as possible, while waste and resource use are minimized. It's crucial for reducing pressure on natural resources, halting biodiversity loss, achieving climate neutrality, and building a more resilient and competitive Europe. So today, in this webinar, we will present concrete case studies from various fields, showcasing practical application of innovative approaches to create a sustainable future in the rapidly changing world and promoting dialogue between academia and societal actors. Before introducing our speaker and the sessions, I would like to thank all the speakers for their availability to present various aspects related to the circular economy and to share case studies with us. I would like to give you some practical information. So, of course, there will be, as you have seen from the agenda, a Q&A session at the end of the talks. But since the beginning, you can enter into not the chat, but in the Q&A session that you find on the Teams, your comments, your questions, and in case if you would like to have the floor at the end to make also some questions directly by mic, because otherwise we will reassume a little bit all your questions and we will present them to the speakers. Of course, I am sure that we will have a really fruitful webinar today, and I would like to start immediately to give the floor to the first speaker that is dedicated to an introductory speech on the circular economy approach given by Professor Alessandro Banterle. Alessandro Banterle is full professor of agri-food economics and policy and vice rector for sustainable development and ecological transition at the University of Milan. Alessandro has been founder and director of the Department of Environmental Science and Policy at the University of Milan. And his research interests include food policy, economic analysis of food supply chain, consumer behavior, environmental transition. So, Alessandro, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Antonella, for this introduction. Very nice introduction. Now I try to share my screen. Can you see my slides?
Yes. Yes, very well.
Okay, thank you. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My task today, my aim today is to introduce the general issues of the circular economy. So I will try to synthesize which are the main topics of the circular economy, but I have just 15 minutes, so it's not an easy job, but I will try. So we can start just considering the linear economy. That is the largest model that is used currently in the advanced economies and also in the developing economies. So this paradigm is well known as take, make, and waste. So that means that the resources are at the beginning of the economy. Then there are the production of using this resource, the distribution, the consumption, and at the end of the line, there is the waste. As I mentioned, the vast entity of supply chains are organized in this way, with a strong extraction of raw materials, mass production, and a strong disposal of waste. And this model creates some very important issues, like the resource depletion, the waste generation, of course, the environmental pollution, and also related to the environmental pollution, the climate change impacts. Now, we have to change paradigm. And a quite old example to understand the problems generated by the linear economy is related to the spaceship. In the spaceship, the main problem is the scarcity. Indeed, there is the scarcity for air, the scarcity for fuel, for food, so for all the resources. But there is also a big problem related to waste. And for this reason, in a spaceship, the scientists study solution to reduce the use of the resources, to recycle the resources, and so on. So the idea is that our Earth is a spaceship, a little bit bigger than the spaceship that we know, but is still a spaceship with a limited resources, with a big issue related to scarcity, and another big issue related to increasing waste generation. There is another important point to consider, that the world population is growing, and recent studies mentioned that in 2015 the world population will be 10 billion. FAO evaluated that there is a need to produce more than 50% food by 2015 to feed the world population. But there are a number of issues related to this increase, to this growth of the food production. Indeed, the 25% of all farmland is already rated as degraded or highly degraded. and another 44% is slightly degraded. Moreover, it's not easy to find new land for cultivation, and the 80% of the deforestation is driven by agricultural aims. Another point is related to urbanization. And in the next decades, we will see a strong urbanization and billions of people that will add to current inhabitants of towns and cities. So there will be, of course, probably, but it's very probably, that we will see a sharp growth in demand. And this will lead to an increase in demand for processed and animal-based foods, and on the other side, an increased environmental impact. So, but this is not only an issue related to the food system, but is more general. We expect a strong growth in demand for commodities, for natural resources at global level. And this can create strong issues related to the scarcity of raw materials, short-term shortage, political instability, and like the situation that we can see now, price volatility and also price uncertainty. For all these reasons, I think that there is the need for a shift in the economic paradigm. And in this new approach, the use of the resources can guarantee the sustainability for the future generations. So this sustainability does not regard just the environmental aspects, but also the economic and social aspects. The approach of the circular economy represents a very good opportunity and a unique opportunity, also a concrete opportunity to abandon the traditional take, make, dispose paradigm. Indeed, the circular economy is based on the production, the distribution, the consumption, but it includes also the reuse, the repair, the recycle. And so through the recycling activity, the resources can be again used in the production. The circular economy is not a new concept, and the origins of this concept can be traced back to different schools. Particularly, there are many scientific and social schools, but three are extremely important: the industrial ecology, the performance economy, and the cradle to cradle. All these concepts are strictly interrelated. So the circular economy is founded on all these schools and represent a broader approach based on the use of resources and the waste minimization. I would like just to mention a little bit the cradle-to-cradle approach. Cradle-to-Cradle was a very famous book, um, and the authors were an architect, so William MacDonald, and a chemist, Michael Baumgart. The idea of the cradle-to-cradle is that it is possible a infinite circulation of materials and also nutrients in cycles. All these materials and nutrients are chemically harmless and recyclable. So waste, as we know, it will no longer exist. This is the approach of the cradle to cradle. And the principles of the cradle to cradle is three. So everything is a resource for something else. Second, in nature, waste of one system is possible that become food for another system. And everything can be designed for to be disembodied and to return to the soil or utilized. Is extremely interesting. In the approach of crumble to crumble, the distinction between the two cycles. The first one on the left is the biological cycle, and this very natural. So we have product, we have production, we have product, we have the use, then there is the biodegradation, and through the biodegradation we have the biological nutrient that can be that can feed the plants, and then we have again the production. The other cycle on the right is the technical cycle. So not biological cycle, but the technical one. That means used again and again the resources. Of course, also here we have production, product use, but then it's possible to disassemble the element and have new resources for the production. These two cycles are extremely important. Now, the main principle of the circular economy were stated by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation in 2012. And the Ellen MacArthur Foundation formalized the concept of a circular economy, considering the theories that I mentioned, but also the regenerative design that is called also eco-design. And this is very important because the idea of the circular economy is that at the beginning of the design, we have to think to the waste. So at the beginning of when there is the idea of the product, we have to think how we can use the waste of the product, how we can recycle the waste of the product. Particularly the definition of the circular economy is a restorative, a regenerative by intention and design. Again, the importance of the word design. That aims to maintain the utility of product, components, and materials and retain their value for as long as possible, as well as to minimize waste. Now, following the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, we can see that the main principle are replace the end of life with restoration, shift towards the use of renewable energy, eliminate the use of toxic chemicals, and eliminate waste. So, the main idea of the circular economy is to keep resources in use for as long as possible. And in the circular economy, the resource never become waste, and the nature is restored. So there are three main principles: design out waste or pollution, keep products and material in use, and regenerate natural system. Sorry, I have a problem. I'm sorry, but I don't know why. Okay. Now, the famous 5R of the circular economy are reduce. First of all, so reduce means that in the supply chain, we can try to reduce the use of natural resources. And in this way, it's possible to minimize waste. But this is also important for the consumer, for the final consumer. So reduce means also a reduce of consumptions. Reuse, second point. So use products multiple times, like for example, the glass bottles. Repair, another principle extremely important. So fix damages. Recycle, that means process the waste materials, and recover. So recover energy or materials from waste that cannot be reused or recycled. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation reanalyzed the double cycle of the crumble to crumble, and they create this scheme that is the butterfly diagram. On the left, again, there are the biological cycle, and on the right, the technical cycle. In the biological cycle, there is the ideas of cascades. That means that at the end of the use of the product, you can use again for another aim. For example, cotton can be used for the t-shirt, but when my t-shirt, I don't want to use again my t-shirt, I can use this like a gift for the poor people, and then I can use the cotton for in very specific sectors, that like in the construction sector. There are many examples of the use of this kind of waste in the construction sector. But there are many other ideas. So the anaerobic digestion, biogas, the biochemical feedstock, and so on. A little bit more complicated is the cycle of the technical materials. And these are particularly connected to the reuse and redistribution, to the remanufacturing and recycling. Now, From these ideas, the European Commission created a specific legal framework, particularly with the circular economy package that was published in 2015, the European Green Deal published in 2019, the Circular Economy Plan 2020, and then in 2024, the Eco-Design Directive for Sustainable Product Regulation, and in 2025, the Clean Industry Deal, that is the most interesting currently document. I see that my time is finished, so I hope with this introduction just to give you some ideas about the circular economy. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks to you, Alessandro Banterle, Vice Rector of University of Milan on Sustainable Development and Ecological Transition. For those who joining us later, I would like to thank, because it's quite, you explain very clearly the change of paradigm in the use of resources, and very clear how this means also a change of the way to work together, a more strict connection and multi-actor approach where all the players of the production, distributions on the value chain can interact since the beginning with this aim. This is quite well, will be quite well explained in our second sessions of case studies and perspectives. And I'm glad to introduce the speaker that will present the next talk, that is Michal Lech. I hope that the pronounce is good. Michal is Deputy Director of the Infrastructure Department of the City of Warsaw. His presentation will be on modern technologies and urban infrastructure management, the case of the City of Warsaw. Michal is plenipotentiary for the new Center of Warsaw and Deputy Director of the Infrastructure Office of the City of Warsaw. And as a measures plenipotentiary for the new Center of Warsaw, he leads initiatives that transform the city center into a more resilient, inclusive, and people-friendly space. And in his role as Deputy Director of the Infrastructure Office, he oversees the effective delivery of infrastructure and renovation projects, integrating technical systems with residents' needs and the long-term visions of a climate-neutral city. Michal, the floor is yours.
Antonella, thank you very much for the introduction. I'm so happy and thrilled and honored to be among you, among all the academics. I would like to thank you, especially to Alessandro, for this academic approach. I'm not sure right now if I fit this 5 Rs principles, but we would like to tell you how we do the circular economy here in Warsaw. It's not our own approach. Of course, it's in line with this 5 Rs and all the EU documents and principles, but we would like to tell you a short story about the circular economy made in Warsaw. First, we would like to introduce you our city, which is the capital of Poland. Poland is in top 10 countries in the EU in terms of the population and the area. We recently became one of the 20 wealthiest economies in the world. And Warsaw in numbers is, as you can see on the screen. I'm sure Antonella will share the presentation with you, so we will not, waste our time to read the numbers. But as you can see, the numbers are quite high, so we can relate to the small economies of the other countries in the EU. So the problems we need to face are really serious. So this is a short diagram how we shape and how we have shaped the Warsaw Climate's future, beginning in 2009, going all these years to 2025. I believe all of this is more or less clear, except the last step, which is Janosikowe. We used to have this contribution weighing the budget of Warsaw, the contribution to the other smaller cities. It was ruled by the government, so the Warsaw could not object against it, and this was it was draining our budget. Not like we stuck with our investments or we had no perspective to grow, but it was a significant number. So after the recent elections, we changed that policy. So we do not longer need to contribute to the other cities, which is, on the other hand, not really fair, but the last solution was not fair at all. Here you can see a short diagram how we use a smart city tools for the circular urban infrastructure. But before we go any deeper into the presentation or this slide, I would like you, because I told you who we are and where we are in the in Europe, I would like to tell you why we or how we do the circular economy and how we understand being circular on the daily basis. We, of course, can utilize the resources, I mean, like the fossils, but we strive to use as low as we can and to try to focus, I mean, to implement a policy that the resource can come from the natural supplies or from wastes, which is okay according to the policies, but waste is not only the thing that is, like the classic waste when you eat, you have the crumbs or you have the sandwich paper or whatever. Waste is also a energy that you do not use. So we believe, and I will show you on the next slides, that the circularity is also using the energy that would not have been used before. So we were wasting the energy. Like the best example is the solar energy. So we are using the roofs of the municipal buildings, of schools and kindergartens that we are owning as a city, or we are operating as a municipality, to retrieve the energy from the sun. On the other hand, we are trying to live without burning any extra fossil power. But as Alessandro mentioned, the 5R principle, like repair, recycle, and recover, we are implementing this kind of the economy approach. I know this approach from the aviation. It is called ALARP, as low as practically applicable. So because if you trying to reduce the cost of waste, you are spending some money. So you need to see the problem with both eyes. Because if you are wasting your energy to cut down the waste on the other corner, it's a bad approach. So dealing with the circular economy here in Warsaw, we are also putting a great attention if these actions are economically practicable. So here you can see the how we do it on the daily basis. So we have this integrated approach, data-driven management. We are now the part of the digital twins project, so we can simulate our actions before we came to the actual actions. We are extending the infrastructure life cycle. I will show you how we managed to modernize the street lighting to increase the lifespan of the city lights. And we are implementing the smart solutions for mobility and spatial planning. As for spatial planning, of course, there are some GIS solutions, and for the mobility, it is, of course, still for past over 25 years, it is a smart traffic management. The difference is that we changed the objects of the traffic management. It used to be car oriented, but now it's more oriented to the limiting the pollution or limiting the cars going through the city. One of the examples how we use some surplus of the energy is reusing the heat from the metro. It is well known that the train itself is generating some extra power. I mean, it's losing the power through the heat. So we are taking the heat and turning it into the energy again. It is not an easy project. We are using some examples from Denmark. It's not easy because the network itself was not designed to install a infrastructure to catch the extra heat. So we needed to redesign some already built solutions and to do our best to fit in the installations to to get the heat. Here we have the circular approach to building efficiency. We have a standard for the green buildings. We are trying to lower the costs of the energy in the public buildings, such as I mentioned, the schools, the municipal buildings, the buildings that are inhabited by the city hall. But again, there are two sides of the coin. We noticed that if you insulate the building too much, I mean, you make the windows so tight that literally no air can come out. It means that on the other hand, no air can come in. So we face the problem with the pupils lacking the air in the classes. So so there are always the two sides of the coin. So you need to pay a lot of attention what you are losing by winning something, and is it really a win or just on paper that you set up a goal to lower the cost of heating the school, but on the other hand, you decrease the intellectual efficiency of the pupils. Okay, I mentioned the smart LED lighting. So here you have the remote control systems for the traffic lights, for the street lights. We are losing less energy. We saved a lot of money. And we even saved a lot of money, even considering all the spendings on the exchange. We also improved safety because we had some extra money, so we could put some extra lights in the places that were especially endangered. We have this economical approach. We have this model how to finance all these transformations. We are using, of course, the EU funds. We are using the national funds, and it's really easy to get because we are really trying to encourage individuals and, of course, the us as the municipality to transform. I believe this is the. I'm not believing, but it is the most recent installation. Is the waste to energy plant. We used to, before this was launched, we used to just burn the waste at this venue. But recently we implemented the system to retrieve the energy from the burning wastes. So it's one of the most modern installations in Europe. What else? As you mentioned, Antonella, I am also a plenipotentiary or a proxy of the mayor of Warsaw for this project, New Center of Warsaw, which is basically located in the heart of our city. And here you can, and it's of course it's about infrastructure, but the changes in infrastructure takes us towards this change in the approach to the climate resilience. So as you can see, we have this huge parking at the feet of the Palace of Culture, which is called the gift from Stalin from 1950s after the war. We used to have some national marches here, like for the 1st of May, some victory marches for the 8th of May, and for other national holidays. And as I mentioned, the parking for the many cars. So now we have some retention tanks, one of the biggest in Poland, and for sure the biggest in Warsaw.
Albergo.
And we are retaining the water from rain, and we are reusing the water to water the trees and the grass. So we also reusing the space for the other purposes. So we got rid of the cars, and now it's a place to spend some time, which is in fact the causes the decrease in the pollution, because you don't need to chase the city to find the place to spend time. It's more or less all concentrated in the city center, and we are encouraging people to come to the city center and live, inhabit the city center again, because as the other large city was struggling with the flow of the inhabitants to the suburbs because of the cost of the living. And this is the other view to the central square, which is the same place but from the other perspective. We have this very famous building of the Museum of the Contemporary Art, which is now so-called the third place. So it's a place to spend your free time. And I believe we did it. It was like 17 minutes, I guess. So I'm sorry for that. I was seeing your sign, Antonella. So thank you for keeping me in pace. And of course, thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Michal. It was impressive because Warsaw has been rebuilt in the old part after the war, and I have seen how much effort has been made on that. And now the new building and the new vision of the city is even going on with this perspective of circular economy, and also of waste to energy plant and management. That is quite impressive, and over the years we can see the difference. So thank you very much for showcasing this smart city building according to the circular economy. And now it's time to go to Milan again and to introduce Lorenza Sganzetta. That Lorenza is from Food Poverty Office, Milan Food Policy, Municipality of Milan, is correct. And she will present the The presentation will be on from food waste to social value, the strategic role of food hubs in the Milan urban food policy. I would like also to remember that a few months ago, Milan organized a big forum, international forum on hundreds of cities in the world working for a more sustainable food system. And this was impressive to be part of this big event. Lorenza is a geographer with a strong interest in sustainable food systems, social cohesion, urban planning, climate change, and international cooperation. She currently works as a social sustainability and participative governance expert within the municipality, contributing to the development and implementation of initiatives under the food policy and food hub projects. Her works focuses on strengthening integrated action to combat food poverty and prevent food waste. Lorenza, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Antonella, and thank you everybody for being here, for listening to this specific angle. In fact, as well as Mr. Lake, I'm not perfectly sure that what I will present perfectly fits this five principle that Professor Banterle was introducing at the beginning. But for this different reason, because as Antonella was saying, I'm not representing the general circularity approach of the Municipality of Milan, but I work in this specific area that is called food policy, and in an even more specific thematic area that is called food aid, actually, and food poverty, of course. We are working both on social issues and environmental ones. So let me share in the presentation mode. Let me just start from, I will give you just a general framework very quickly of this big alliance, global alliance that we are part of as food policy that is called Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. And is one of the reasons why the initiative that I will present you more deeply today had the chance to develop in the years. The Milan Urban and Food Policy Pact is a commitment of mayors of cities all around the world. It is a legacy of the Expo that took place in 2015 in Milano, and defines sustainable food systems as inclusive, resilient, safe, diverse, and healthy, and promotes a series of recommended actions and 6 different categories of food policies. These are the general categories, and in particular for the today presentation, I will deepen the 6th category, food waste, which I'm more dealing with and has a strong connection with the circularity principles. As Antonella kindly anticipated, Milan Urban Food Policy Pact organizes every 2 years a big forum, and the last year, 2025, we had the honor to host it in Milano, so right after 10 years from the beginning of the Global Pact. And it took place in October and reached many interesting outcomes and outputs. We organized an award for the 6 different categories, and we organized a ceremony also to give the prizes to the cities that reached very interesting goals in terms of performance of their governance, sustainable diets and nutrition, social economic equity, food production, food supply and distribution, and food waste performances. The last things that I'm going to tell you about Milan Urban Food Policy Pact is that thanks to this big commitment, global commitment, we always have the possibility to plan international exchanges and opportunity of peer-to-peer learning sessions. In this case, I just wanted to announce you that we are working strictly with FAO for a project of peer-to-peer learning with 10 participating cities from Asia, Pacific, and Latin America and Caribbean, with this approach of cultural exchange and also in-person workshop. We will organize also an in-person training in Malaysia in June, and we will have the opportunity also to publish a report where we will systematize good practice in the categories that I told you about before, but also other very brilliant and precious practice that we had the chance to meet also during the forum, all connected to food loss and waste reduction and circularity. So if you are interested in the next month when this report will be published, I can share also with you. So, but coming to the main topic of today, that is the initiative that I'm dealing with in the Food Aid Office. I will talk you about these facilities that are located all around the city of Milan that are called Food Aid Hubs. And I will try to explain you also how these hubs came out from a process of co-programming and co-design. So these facilities were not just an idea coming from the municipality with a top-down approach, but were designed with the third sector organizations that were selected through a public call. Just to tell you, this Food Aid Office and so also the initiative of the Food Aid Apps align with one of the 5 priorities of our food policy, that is fight against food waste in different ways. So as I was saying, our approach is not totally, how can I say, environment-led, but also socially led. So our idea is also to make more accessible food in our city, and this angle of tackling food waste and try to make more healthy also our citizens' habits are going really hands by hands in our process. What are these Food Aid Hubs and which kind of networks was born thanks to this initiative? This idea was born around 2016, so right after the Milan Expo, thanks to a partnership between different kind of actors. As I was anticipating before, the main characteristic of this initiative is the fact that it's really cross-sector and is composed by a very diverse panorama of stakeholders. So this partnership was held between the municipality, the Polytechnic of Milano, that is our scientific partner, Assa Lombarda, that is a consortium of enterprises, and Cariplo Foundation, that is with us today too. This network advanced key objectives of the Milan food policy, the 5 that we saw in the previous slides, and addresses also food insecurity. As I was saying, the hubs support the 4th priority, the one more related to food waste. The role of the city of Milan in this process, and also now that the initiative is quite evolved and has many different locations and is quite working in an efficient way, was at the beginning to promote this participatory approach that I was telling you before. And of course also to facilitate the process and in a way to coordinate it. But now that we are in this phase where it is more a question, is more an issue of making things working better and better, our role, I can say that is quite parithetical with the other stakeholders. So we are always trying to organize many sessions of confrontation to understand which can be the best way to proceed together. These are just a few pictures of how hubs, our food aid hubs are in our city. They are quite different because we let the third sector organization propose the design, the specific location, and the structural organization also of their spaces, not just the governance, but also the spaces where came from their proposals. These facilities, practically, what they do? They collect, there are places where surplus food generated from big supermarkets, but also small shops all around the city are collected and redistributed into two different models. One is the classic B2B model. So the food came in this hub and is redistributed to an association or a charity, another kind of third sector organization. So in a sort of B2B model, no? Or we have also a second model that is common known as social market, where beneficiaries, so people in need, directly come to these hubs and they can choose, like in the picture down on the left, people can come with a card of points, choose what they need. So like in a normal supermarket, but without money exchange. So it's more, the second model is more a B2C model. And so as you can understand, the core of this system are always the third sector organization, because also in the second model, where are directly the beneficiaries that are coming to our hubs, are people, of course, identified by this organization or by also our social assistants from the municipality. But there is always an intermediation in between the food and the people that is coming to the hub. Here there is a map of the location of the hubs. Are the biggest H are the hubs all around the city. And as you can see, the biggest one, the pink one on the right of the map, is bigger than the others because it's located inside our wholesale market. That is one of the biggest in Europe. And for this reason, our surplus and the food collected, the majority of it is fresh food, fresh fruit and vegetables that are passing through this hub because they are directly connected to the origin of the food. On the right part of the slides, you can read some of our latest results. We collected more than 1,000 tons of food. We reached around 18,000 families and served 135 associations. We inserted in our analysis and monitoring also the CO2, the emissions avoided, thanks to the calculation of the Politecnico of Milano, and also the meals equivalent to the food that we collected and didn't went to the waste disposal services of the city. Sorry. Sorry, it's blocked. Right, okay. Sorry. There is an important thing that even if it's not strictly related to this idea, this principle of circularity, is quite important in our process, and that really we for us it's very important to underline all of this process and all the all the data that we have and the performance that we are able to tell the world about are thanks to the use of a platform that was chosen thanks again to this participatory approach. So last year, after some years of manual collection, manual data collection from the Politecnico of Milano, we decided to invest with the network. So was not the municipality or the food policy directly that decided this, but was a common decision of the network of a third sector organization, municipality itself, and also our economic supporters, also Cariplo Foundation, to understand that was needed a digital platform, not just to represent the data, but also to collect them. And this process lasted quite long, around 6 months. So actually was not maybe the most efficient way to reach this goal of having a common tool. But for sure, we believe really in this approach, for sure, was the one that will last longer in our case, because was really chosen by the actors. Also, the price was negotiated, and now we're quite happy. And in terms of circularity, for the moment, is quite basic. This probably, I don't know if in the city of Warsaw or in your other context, you have ever met this kind of platforms to collect data like this, but it's quite simple to use and quite basic also the information that you can collect. But with the network, we are proposing and designing with the provider also some circularity features through which we will be able also to make more efficient the routes of the vehicles that are going around our city, because as you can see, also this initiative that, of course, collect food and reuse it. A thing that I forgot to say is that many of our third sector organizations are not just redistributing directly food to beneficiaries, but in some cases, when the food is not more, how can I say, not edible, of course, because edible is still, but maybe not in a good shape, they are transforming it. So there are many other products that they are giving to beneficiaries. But still, even if this initiative has many positive aspects, of course, there is the movimentation of goods. So there are emissions. And this feature that we want to add to the app is also to decrease these movements all around the city that I don't know if part of you is from Milano, but the traffic jam is quite terrible in the peak hours, even if the city is quite small in terms of extensions. Another innovation in terms maybe more than circularity of for sure environmental impact that we are conducting is part of an Horizon Plus project called Cultivate. And the specific initiative is called CARE, and is an experimental action that is letting third sector organization recover food directly from schools. That is another word completely different from supermarket and small retailers, through cargo bikes. For the moment, we had a pilot program just in districts 4 and 5, but we want to scale up and to experiment it also in other municipality of Milan. I terminated my presentation. I know that I was quite fast in many parts, but what was interesting for us to show you that our municipality has also some angles, some specific initiative that are maybe related not just to the green department and the main directions, but also specific projects that are related to other part of our common life. In this case, food can be also an interesting example of circularity. Thank you very much.
Thanks to you, Lorenza. Thanks for showing us how the initiatives, the many initiatives on food access recovery, redistribution, and circularity of the Municipality of Milan. A good example in the MUFPP, how do you say before, about the motto, think globally, but act locally. And so this is quite the case. So now, thanks again. We move to the next speaker, Mirko Magni. Now we move from the city to the industry, more in the industry sector, and Mirko will present us a talk on green chemistry to boost the sustainability of the circular economic model. Mirko is a researcher at the Department of Environmental Science and Policy. Environmental sustainability is at the center of his research activity that faces topics like valorization of wastes, recycling of end-of-life products, and wastewater remediation. Mirko, the floor is yours.
Professor Baldi, I start sharing. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I think now you can see in full screen, right? I can start.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
So thank you again, and good afternoon, obviously, everybody. And let's say just to break the ice, at least from my side, I want to start with a very quick, let's say, test that I call speed test. So let's say you have just 3 seconds to answer to this question. So which is the word that you first think while dealing with sustainability? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so obviously we are a lot of person and also in webinar, it's not easy to share your answers, but let's say try to remember, write down this word, because if you want, we can, let's say, play together and see what happens in the next slides, so the next 5 minutes. But why I started with this question? Because let's say in this short webinar, I would like to provide you, I hope, a new perspective on sustainability. Essentially, based on this concept of circular economy, we already discussed a lot with previous speakers, is not actually the end somehow of the route toward sustainability, but it is just one of the steps to reach maybe also a further level of sustainability. And in particular, in this play, green chemistry will be particularly interesting. So let's start, if it works, okay, and after that I will move in the second part of the talk with some example of research and development related with a project based on circular economy, but in which we try to apply also the green chemistry paradigms. So let's start with what is green chemistry and the correlation, similarity, or differences with the circular economy concept. So very quickly, if we think about timeline of a product, I don't spend time because we already discussed also with Professor Banterle a few, say, 1 hour ago more or less. So we have a linear structure that starts from sources, transformative processes, so the production of something, the usage of this product, and obviously the end of life when product became waste. The answer to this question is is very easy. So the answer is that circular economy is the first step, or maybe the end step of this improvement. We can obtain a circular approach by bending or let's say folding the start and the end of the rigid linear structure, making the source and the end very close to each other. But actually the main target, is this the finish line of the sustainability race, or we can go even more? If we think just a bit, circular economy model actually is focused mainly, as we already say, also on the products over reuse, for example, of a product to extend its life, or with concept like second life approach, that means use the same product that maybe is old and so lost partially its original performance, and apply the same object for something that is less demanding in terms of performance. The other point on which for sure the circular model, economy model apply is when the product turns into waste, because another point is the concept of the end of waste. So modify somehow waste in order to be a new second phase. And the same for some outcomes that comes from transformative processes. So for example, byproducts or waste coming from this specific transformation. I repeat again my original question. So in your opinion, this is the real end, or we can do something more? So probably if you answer to my original question with a word like recycling, reuse, recovery, or reduction of waste, or something like this, probably you think that this is the end of this sort of race. But actually, from my point of view, let's say we can go even more by applying the concept of green chemistry. So green chemistry simply apply to the same circular approach of circular economy, but mainly focus on this and this step. So the sources and transformative processes. So resources and transformative processes. Because the green chemistry essentially holds on how a product is produced. So this means focusing on energy, type and amount of energy, type and amount of materials, that means reagents, solvents, and many other things, but also in terms of not only in terms of incomings, but also in terms of upstreams, like reduction of pollutants, reuse of unreactive compound, and so on. So if we wanted to provide very, very quickly an overview of green chemistry, we have to speak about these two guys that in 1998 published these pioneering articles that somehow define as a sort of milestone what is green chemistry. So green chemistry is defined as an approach, as a model that is built on 12 principles or pillars. This is just one of the plenty of examples you can find online if you search 12 principles of green chemistry. But without entering in details of on each of these also because are quite, let's say, technical in many of these cases. What is important to remember from this talk is that green chemistry means think how a process is designed. And the design should be fulfill these specific topics, let's say. So first of all, the topic of efficiency in terms of energy, resources, usage, and mass. Safety, for sure, in terms of human safety during preparation, but also during the lifespan of these objects and products. And finally, obviously, let's say, also the safety in terms of environment, so environmental protection concern. If, as I'm almost sure, at least someone of you answered to my original question, some words that are more related with efficiency in terms of energy, safety, or mass balance, and so on, or you are a chemist, or on the other side, at least in some part of your brain, you have some, let's say, chemical approach, chemical mentality. But obviously I'm joking, but besides this, what I hope that this first part of the talk will remain to you, so the so-called take-home message, is that circular economy and green chemistry are, let's say, somehow similar in concept, but different at the same time. Here I try to sum up some of the main differences, but as highlighted in the middle bottom of this slide, the message is that just by combining the circular economy model with the green chemistry way of thinking, we could and we can really reach, let's say, the maximum level of sustainability ever. So now the first part that maybe is also the more boring because partially more technical one is finished, and I switch, I hope, to something that is more interesting to all of you because there are some examples of case studies in which I want to show how academic research but also applied research can help to make value from waste. So following the approach of circularity, but implementing this approach with the concept and the approaches suggested by the pillars of green chemistry. So the first example I want to cite you is this one. The project was called Cariplo. In the next slide, I will try to explain in detail this acronym. The aim here is to valorize, to give value to tomato peels coming from the so-called tomato pomace you can see here on the right, that is the residue of the canning industry, so industry that transform a tomato. As you can see, this is a project that was founded by Fondazione Cariplo in 2021, and besides the University of Milan, so our group of research, there are also other colleagues from Politecnico di Milano, Università di Pavia, and the Lund University. The last one in particular was dedicated to the so-called LCA study, that is the life cycle assessment, so evaluation of how and somehow is impacting our processes in terms of CO2 equivalence. Very quickly, the Cariplo project has aim to obtain cutin, that is the cutin monomer, sorry, that is a monomer that I show you in a few seconds, as starting material to produce very different kind of polymer materials. So the idea is to start from these, so the tomato peels, so a bio waste, largely produced in Italy. Here, just to provide you an idea, I found some information like 90 to 100 kilotons per year of just peels. And our idea is to produce by proper formulation these three families of polymer materials, so bioplastics, coatings, that means paints, and medical tissue or medical devices. But in which way we can connect peels, so waste, to these final and often high demanding material? Our idea and what we did actually is to extract from the pill this particular monomer that is called 1016D hydroxyhexadecanoic acid. That is the monomer of Q10 I cited a few minutes ago. And by using this, we can formulate different polymeric material, thermoplastic or thermo settings. But up to here, we are just following the circular economy approach. To introduce also somehow the green chemistry approach, we decided to perform this kind of extraction from pill to this monomer through green extraction processes. That means by reducing the amount of solvent, especially reducing as much as possible organic solvent that are particularly harmful, but also environmentally impacting, but also water, because if you think wastewater, that is essentially water, is a problem, as we can see also in the third example of my case studies. The second example I want to tell you is completely different. So we move from something that is organic, is a food derivative, to something that is inorganic. And I want to tell you about lithium-ion batteries. For sure, many of you knows what they are chemical devices you can find in your mobiles, PC, but also in vehicles, so in cars and so on. The idea here is to make this kind of electrochemical devices a real green, let's say, tool in the energy transition challenge. This is one of the goals that European Community desire by funding a lot of money, millions of euro, within this project that is called EPC batteries. EPC stands for Important Project of Common European Interest. This is a sort of industrial funding, and thanks to this company, Engie Technologies, that is located here next to Milan, I had the opportunity to collaborate and try to give my contribution to this pilot scale plant for recycling of lithium-ion batteries. But why Europe is funding so much million of euro on this target? The problem is somehow, at least partially described here, because the same community decided to update the regulation for batteries recycling that include also lithium-ion battery. And as you can see, these are the new targets that we have to reach by 2025, that actually is past, and by the end of this decade. But if you are a recycler and you read something like this, your action is this one, because actually are very challenging threshold value to reach. Beside entering in detail, we can say that at least from the technological point of view, so without considering revenue, cost, and so on, so just focusing on technology, in theory, there are two kinds of technology that can approach recycling of lithium-ion batteries. The one is called pyrometallurgy, the other is hydrometallurgy. Pyro essentially means use high temperature, hydro means water, and so very mild temperature. There are also some differences, but as you can see by these lights, we think that the hydrometallurgy approach will be the winner in the next future. So we decided to focus on this kind of approach. This is a simplified flow sheet of the process. We start from here, incoming battery. Along the red arrow, we move along the main stream of the process. So as you can see, there are a lot of different operative units. But again, this was just circular economy. So old battery to obtain new materials for battery. If again we wanted to move and teach something from the green chemistry approach, maybe from this block diagram we can better understand. Here you can see again the red line that is the mainstream I told you before, but here with the green line you can see the so-called closed loops pathway. That means that are additional processes, units of our pilot plants that are able to recover partially some regions that is not reacted in a step, or other compounds that are produced as waste or byproduct of many other steps, and they are fed again inside specific units of the same plant by saving regions and reducing wastewater. The very last example, also because late, is the waste valorization. This is particularly interesting in my point of view because it's an example of when a research, academic research, turns into a real business. Because Visioning SRL from July 2024 is a company, and I am one of the co-founders with other colleagues of the Department of Chemistry and another colleague of mine and others of other department of UNIMI. Everything started in 2022 with some competition related to technological transfer, and then at the end of last year, we was lucky to receive a lot of money by Farming Future, that is part of CDP, so Cassa Deposito e Prestito Foundation. And so today we are active as a startup spin-off of our university. Which was the problem we try to face is the problem of agriculture and wastewater. Agriculture, from one side, suffer for lack of water and the requirement of fertilizers. On the other side, wastewater has the problem that water is contaminated with compounds, many of which actually are micro and macronutrients. So our suggestion, our proposal is to recycle water, at the same time recover nutrients in a proper way. In which way? By reducing as much as possible their energy with respect to more common wastewater treatment plant, and obviously also try to have some revenue, because as usual any industry wants to have some money. These are our pilot plants that work with 500 liter in batch in different locations with different kind of wastewaters. And this is a scheme, simplified scheme of our system. So we use spontaneous reaction in module 1 in order to reduce the content of material, contaminated materials, organic content. And in the second module, we have again or spontaneous or low energy processes, and at the very end we obtain treated water and soil improver. That's all. Sorry for the small delay, and obviously I want also to say thanks to all colleagues, collaborators, and co-founders that I don't cite here for a question of time. That's all, and thank you again.
Thanks to you, Mirko. You have presented very well how to valorize some end or co-products of the industrial chain. And also, this is quite important, water recovery. So we have seen energy, food, water. So in a little time, we have showcased a lot of examples of how circular economy could be implemented towards these basic resources of our earth. So this is quite important. And I would like to say also that, introducing the last but not the least speaker, that in the previous presentation, a couple of times it was mentioned Cariplo Foundation. Cariplo Foundation as a grant supporter of circular economy. So it's my pleasure to introduce Diana Pozzoli, Deputy Director of the Scientific Research Area of Cariplo Foundation. And her presentation will focus on Fondazione Cariplo's commitment to advancing the circular economy, because of course we need money to make this transition. And this is important that the money is also local, not only, that must be quite included in the ecosystem where we live. That is the case of for Cariplo's Foundation. Diana is the Deputy Director of the Science and Technology Area at the Fondazione Cariplo, where she oversees grant-making program and initiative supporting scientific research and innovation, with an extensive experience in designing and managing funding schemes, coordinating complex research programs, and building strategic partnership. So please, Diana, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and good evening, everybody. I will share my screen. Now I will create the full screen. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
before to start, I would like to introduce. Oops. Okay, I would like to introduce my organization. Fondazione Cariplo is a foundation of banking origin that supports local development in Lombardy region and in provinces of Novara and Verbano Cusio-Ossola. For foreign people, I would like to spend some words regarding Lombardy, that is a populous, rich, and very dynamic region in the north of Italy. I can say that 17% of the Italian population live there, and also Lombardy produce 23% of the national GDP and host a lot of companies, universities, and hospitals. Fondazione Cariplo is a grant-making organization and provides grants to non-profit organizations and public entities in the field of environment, arts and culture, social welfare, and scientific research. In addition, Fondazione Cariplo has established companies to tackle challenges and develop high-impact projects. In the field of circular economy, the foundation acts through two main channels. The first channel is grant making, and the second one is through its instrumental entities. In this way, Cariplo can address different targets and supports the entire economic chain. Let me begin by discussing grant-making activity. Among the many projects and initiatives supported, I would like to focus my intervention on call for proposal for research projects in the field of circular economy. To be eligible for the call, project must be submitted by university or non-profit research institution and must develop new materials, products, sustainable processes, new systems for regeneration and reuse of goods, and new organizational models. All applications are selected by international reviewers, and in this slide, you can see that reviewers come from all over the world. So we are local, but also connected with foreign country. In this slide, you can see some facts and figures regarding the call for proposal. Fondazione Cariplo promoted this call from 2008 to 2022. We receive more than 400 applications overall. 57 are the projects funded, with more than 16 million grants. Some projects are ongoing, but the completed projects have already produced some result, in particular more than 300 publications and a lot of patents. In the previous presentation, we know more regarding CAT2Pro project that is funded under this call. In this slide, you can see another case study. I would like to say that these projects are basic research or applied research, but with low TRL. These outputs are publications, patents, people trained, new scientific collaboration, new grants. But I said before that in the domain of circular economy, the foundation acts through its instrumental entities. So I would like to tell about the Circular Economy Lab that was created in 2008 by Fondazione Cariplo ed Intesa San Paolo, that is a major Italian bank. The mission of the Circular Economy Lab is to accelerate companies' transition to our circular economy model. And there are performing partners. The first performing partner is Cariplo Factory, and the second one is Intesa San Paolo Innovation Center. Cariplo Factory is a Fondazione Cariplo instrumental enterprise that works in the field of open innovation. The Circular Economy Lab acts through 3 pillars. First of all, education, for example, knowledge transfer, training activities, connection, and also advisory, in particular services aimed at supporting companies in their circular transformation journey. Here you can find some facts and figures related to Circular Economy Lab activities. In particular, you can see how many workshops and events are organized with more than 1,500 participants. You can see the startup engaged, the university and the labs engaged, the company engaged, and the advisory projects completed. In this case, I would like to spend more words regarding the case study. In particular, the Circular Economy Lab evaluated the potential environment impact of the materials and products used in the hospital radiology department. In this case study will be involved important company like Bracco, a major Italian farm, Galeazzi Hospital, and Stevanato Group. Stevanato Group is a leader in drug containment and delivery systems. The output of these activities are new opportunities for process optimization in the supply chain, environmental impact reduction, and we say that with this evaluating this assessment, we had the possibility to rethink about the supply chain in the hospital radiology department. I have very short presentation, but I'm able to answer to some question. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Diana Pozzoli. Maybe I can ask a question directly to you, because I know that there is foundations all over the world are extremely important for supporting these projects that need also a multi-actor approach, as we said before. So sometimes it's difficult to put together so many different players. And that's why these typical your kind of support is good, because it is included in the ecosystem of the region where the projects are pushed forward. Are you in some networking of foundation at Italian level and also world level? Can you say a little bit about that internationalization of foundation in these kind of activities?
Fondazione Cariplo participate in many network. At the national level, there is Acri that put together a foundation from banking origin. All foundation of banking origin come together in Acri. At international level, there is Filea, and the next May we will meet with the other foundation in Copenhagen to discussing regarding the challenges on environment, pollution, and the climate. So it's an interesting stage in which we design our future.
Thank you very much. And also the format of the support and of the grants, that is important as well in order to have an homogeneity of, how would say, also type of grants and of projects.
Yeah. We discuss regarding methodology. We have also some projects to share methodologies and the practice. In particular, there is a program that promotes people exchange between foundation, and it's particular because the chair of the foundation decided to create this program during a meeting in Fondazione Cariplo, and for this reason, the program was named Tiepolo. In order to Italian painter, so
oh, very good. Not quite in Lombardy. Maybe Leonardo was better, but it's okay.
But in the room in which there was the meeting, there is a very beautiful Tiepolo.
Okay, this is the reason.
Yeah,
okay, thank you very much, Diana. So now is a Q&A session starts. I see already one question in the Q&A section. Maybe I can read it, or maybe Mr. or Mrs. I don't know the name, Posta. I have some problem. Podstawa. I don't know if it's correct. The question is for Mr. Lech, for Michal Lech, and I can read it, but in case the person who raised the question can intervene. Is there a broader policy shift being considered to enable the use of waste heat sources, such as metro systems you mentioned, or wastewater from facilities used for cooling, but legally classified as wastewater? I don't know if the question is clear because I've read it, but maybe
the question. Thank you, Antonella. Of course, the question is clear, but to be honest, I don't know if there is a broader policy shift. But if we, in my opinion, there should be some distinction between wastewater and some waste heat, because as long as the heat is not a polluted air, it's a pure energy. We are not talking here about propelling some engines with the air blown from the subway tunnels, because it would be something, it would have something to do with the filters and things like that. And that, in my opinion, would be a waste air as the wastewater. So as long as we are using the energy, like from braking, like we are powering the engines, I mean, electrical engines are powered with the braking power, it's all in the closed circuit. But for the wastewater, we can use it, for example, when we are cooling the preheated wastewater, but in the closed circuit, it's okay. And I'm not sure, and I am sure it would not need any changes in the policy or any national documents. But if the person who are asking is thinking about using wastewater outside the circuit, I'm not sure if it's possible, and I'm not sure if it's really sensible, to be honest.
maybe the person can enter into the conversation. I don't know if the answer was enough clear for you. I don't see any reaction.
Okay.
So I think he or she is satisfied of the answer. So if there are some other questions, if there are no other questions, I have one question for Mirko about the wastewater, because in a perspective of smart city and of agriculture of proximity, that is one of the point also the Milano for that we have discussed in the forum, Lorenza, because we have several examples, especially the city of Paris is working on that, on proximity agriculture. Maybe you can also intervene. Is the possibility to use this wastewater in some case, because you mentioned some possibly reuse of wastewater from agriculture that usually is not potable for sure, but could be used also at the level of smart cities, if we would say employment. Can you say a few words on that?
Sì, thank you for the question. But for sure, yes. In general, to the best of my knowledge and our knowledge, the problem is the level of the so-called COD, so the content of organic compound that make wastewater a waste and not fresh water somehow. So there are different ways to remove this kind of COD, and depending from the level you want to reach, you can use for different things. Obviously, at least our system is not for drinking water, because for this aim you have also to improve with ozone, sanitization, and so on. Our task is to reach, let's say, fresh water that you can use for fields, so for drinking, say, plants.
Not, of course, not for consuming for
No,
people, of course.
or,
Not is not this the case,
no,
but
no,
for instance, for other type of
sì,
activity.
or to be put again in river, so surface water, or appunto for fields, because otherwise it's not so easy.
Okay, I don't know if Lorenza would like to add something on that.
Sure. Actually, it's not part of all the legal framework that are involved into this kind of decision. Is not part of the capacity of policy, unfortunately, but is something that is really important to reflect upon. The examples that you were mentioning also from the forum, and also other case studies of reuse of this kind of wastewater in agriculture are very interesting. But again, a part that is, I underline again, is very important in our kind of policy analysis and policy implementation task, is to understand the legal framework. So for the moment, that's the reason why also, for example, our approach of reuse of food waste is oriented in a certain way also to social services, because there are very much a lot of limitations in the reuse, reselling.
Yeah.
We are encountering that's another word we don't have time to tackle, but it is very important. So I can imagine that also in agriculture it's important, the legal framework.
Yeah, maybe in aquaculture we could somehow think about that, because this is a possibility. Anyway,
Yes.
we stay strict to the time that is not long, so we have few minutes, and so I would like to thank everybody, and I'm happy to give the floor for the farewell remarks to Francesca Villata. She's the Rector's Delegate to the For You Plus Alliance, University of Milan. Francesca, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone. I'm particularly proud to give a farewell remarks in this nice opportunity to present the topic of circular economy on the occasion of the day of the day where circular economy is at the center. Today, you have really had all the attendees really had the opportunity to see what 40+ stands for. So being together around the table, this is a virtual table, but sharing experiences, having colleagues, experts, representatives of our associated partners, discussing a topic that we all really care for. And interdisciplinarity is a key feature of everything that 40+ Alliance does in any field, being it education, research, innovation, and outreach. So these are the fields, the domain that are embedded in the 40+ strategy for 2025-2035, and I'm particularly happy and grateful to have participated in this webinar, and I would like to thank all our speakers. First, Antonella, for coordinating not only this webinar but also for supporting the overall co-creation of this workshop. Vice Rector Bantole for not only for being with us today, for supporting these initiatives, and our distinguished guests, the municipalities of Warsaw and Milan, as associated partner of the 40+ Alliance and of the One Core project in which this webinar is embedded, and of course Fondazione Cariplo, which really supports many of the activities that belongs to the Alliance, and to the University of Milan. Let me also thank my dear colleague Mirko Magni for presenting a really nice case study, and last but not least, all the 40+ supporting team at the University of Milan, which really made possible today's effort, as many other 40+ activities at the University of Milan. So I would like to thank you wholeheartedly for today's webinar and for all your great inputs for a discussion that will not stop here, and I hope we will see around for many other meetings and events about circular economy and maybe more topics. So thank you so much to everyone.
Thanks to Francesca for your farewell remarks. So we declare that the webinar is concluded, but I ask to the speakers to stay connected for one family picture at the end of that. So thanks to all the participants again, and stay connected. Bye to everybody.
Massimo, if you can wait just a minute. Okay, I guess that we can have the screenshot. Vedete?
Credo che siamo solo noi, o no?
No, sono altre.
Vai, perché in alcuni casi lasciano acceso e fanno altro, e quindi è difficile. Michael, you maintain the position. Michael.
Okay.
I think it was just 7.
Sì.
Maybe.
Okay.
6, 5, 4.
Okay. Okay. Mariola
Zalewska.
Okay. Okay, so we would like to take a sort of picture of this event. Okay, and then Davide, please, so we have all the face, not only the, okay. Edda. And Stefania, if you can take the the screenshot.
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay. That's okay?
Fatto? Finished.
Fatto? Okay.
Thanks a lot. I
Thank you
think
very
it was a
much
great
for everything.
webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Ciao
Bye.
Ciao a
Ciao.
tutti. Ciao.
Ciao ciao, grazie. Bye bye.
a voi.